What is up, everybody? It is your boy, James Eakes, and first and foremost, I want to say sorry for being not so active on YouTube these last couple of weeks. I have been extremely busy this last month and a half with the Players Cup 2 preparation. The DLC came out, and I'm still streaming full-time. Our 1-year anniversary on Twitch. It was my 1-year anniversary of streaming and birthday special. It was amazing, and playing in the Players Cup to top 16 for North America, which is what this video and team report is about. Yeah, I was lucky enough to beat out the other 256 competitors from North America and make it to the top 16 bracket. Now, I cannot talk about the results of anything that happened past top 16. I can tell you that I qualified for that. But we might get some of our matches played on the official Pokemon broadcast in early December, and that is why I cannot speak about the results or how I finished, if I made it out, if I didn't, anything like that. But I can share with you guys the team that we're using, and I honestly loved this team. It was amazingly fun. It was a great call, and I can't wait to share it with you guys, so let's get into it. So it all started with my first Series 7 team I ever made, and it was pretty much this Power Herb Nihilego, CLEFAIRY, and a Citrus Berry Nasty Plot Moltres. You know, Meteor Beam, you immediately finish the charge with Power Herb, you get +1 special attack, and it hits extremely hard. And then CLEFAIRY was there with the redirection and Life Dew, actually, to heal up the allies. The idea was to keep healing Moltres up out of Berserk, and then gets hit back in and heals it back up and gets all these boosts. And honestly, I really did like the team, but the weakness policy METAGROSS matchup was really difficult. Nihilego cannot touch METAGROSS. Moltres actually dies to METAGROSS in a lot of situations, and then I can't end up getting up my Nasty Plot if I die in one hit. And CLEFAIRY just ends up dying in one hit to METAGROSS too. So I knew that I needed to address that matchup. And then also, Nihilego felt extremely good in some matchups where it just completely wiped the floor with my opponents. But then other matchups against like popular steel types, with rock and poison as your stabs, Nihilego could not touch them at all. So I kind of started shying away from Nihilego, and I kind of fell into love with Rotom Wash. I thought Rotom Wash was a great fit because, you know, I've already got CLEFAIRY, I've got the Follow Me, Friendguard, and I can Nasty Plot up with Rotom and go on a sweeping spree. And Rotom completely walls the common METAGROSS. Steel is 4 times not very effective, immune to ground, and resists ice. That is the common moveset from the weakness policy METAGROSSes, and Rotom just totally eats that alive. And Rotom was also really good against the Ice Horse, Glastrier, however you want to say it. Ice is not very effective, immune to ground, and then you've just got fighting and rock. They're not even stabs, and I can just set up a Nasty Plot while they try to get up Trick Room, and then Rotom can just outright beat that kind of team outright. And I just felt Rotom was doing so well against all these common teams in the meta. METAGROSS, Glastrier, just like that. Tapu Fini as well. And so he was just really bodying a lot of those teams, especially like Firewater Grass Cores. And then Nihilego, once again, dealing with those steals was just really frustrating. And CLEFAIRY being, you know, really useless against METAGROSS led me to, you know, throw on Incineroar and Amoonguss. And I mean, with that, with Fake Out, Intimidate, Rage Powder, it really started to develop as this setup heavy oriented team. Nasty Plot Moltres, Nasty Plot Rotom, Fake Out, Redirection, you name it. It was really coming together as a setup squad, and I think Rotom Wash was the key to this team's success. Rotom Wash was the call of the tournament, if you will. But these 4 still had some pretty blatant weaknesses. The first one I would say was they were all relatively slow. Moltres and Rotom are 90 and 86 base speed respectively, and that's just not fast enough in the current meta. You know, Incineroar and Amoonguss are both really slow. So I wanted my own Trick Room mode. I think against super fast teams, my team was a slow enough speed to underspeed everything that it needed to underspeed. And then against opposing Trick Room teams, you know, like Torkoal, Glastrier, me being able to reverse their Trick Room makes their job way harder. They've always got to think about these mind games of me reversing their Trick Room. And yeah, so I wanted my own Trick Room mode. And then I also wanted some immediate power. I talk about immediate power a lot for VGC 2020. And I pretty much like to explain it as huge attacks that happen in one turn that can just pick up quick KOs and catch your opponents off guard. These are things like self weakness policy activations, big life orb max moves, lots of stuff like that. And I just felt like if I didn't have an option for immediate power, then I might get kind of steamrolled by a lot of the hyper offense teams. And with this realization, everything was kind of falling into place for Comfy. All the stars started aligning for our cute little support, Comfy. And I think it's really cool how I came to the realization of Comfy, not through the just brain dead, oh, weakness policy Moltres, it's broken. Like, I came to Comfy for a lot of different reasons, and the first and foremost reason was Comfy is a trick room setter, not weak to ghost or dark. All the popular trick roomers in the game are weak to ghost or dark. Things like Dusclops, Cresselia, Hatterene, Articuno Galar now, Chandelure, you name it. They're all either weak to ghost, dark, or both. And I think a lot of teams' options to stopping Trick Room are having these huge ghost and dark attacks to just outright OHKO the Trick Roomer, you know? Tyrannitars, Dusclopses, Dragapults. They really, some of their methods of stopping Trick Room are just OHKOing them, and Comfy completely ignores that. People aren't prepared to deal with Comfy. It even resists Dark, you know, some of those big attacks, and that was my first big reason for wanting Comfy. And then secondly, it did allow me to have an immediate power option with the weakness policy on Moltres. You know, Comfy triage its ability, gives healing moves priority +3, so you could Draining Kiss yourself, activate your weakness policy, and just start sweeping. So I had that immediate damage option. I also had Helping Hand on Comfy, so another immediate damage option for things like Metagross and Rotom. And then on top of that, Comfy with Floral Healing was a fairy type that could heal the team, just like that Clefairy I was really enjoying at the beginning of the season with Life Dew. So Comfy was hitting all the right parts of the team that I needed, and Comfy ended up being great. Last but certainly not least, I really felt like I wanted a Steel type on the team. Steel is just such an amazing defensive typing, and I really just think it helps, you know, with defensive synergy and switch-ins. And Metagross ended up being perfect because my entire team was all special attackers at the moment, and Metagross is an amazing physical damage Steel type. And the thing was, is like my weakness policy was already gone, and that's Metagross's most common, you know, item, and I didn't have an activator or anything like that. And I just thought that Assault Vest Metagross was sounding pretty darn juicy. I mean, Metagross is already immune to Intimidate with Clear Body, so he's already going to be doing a very high amount of consistent damage all the time. And then a problem that Metagross had was that when you're running the Steel, Ground, Ice, you get walled out by a lot of stuff like Rotom Wash, Rotom Heat, just like I'm using on my team with Rotom Wash. And with an Assault Vest, I could actually afford to bypass that weakness and have that extra coverage move, which I had Zen Headbutt. And with the max moves of Steel, Ground, I could just boost up my special defense and defense, become an absolute tank. And I loved Assault Vest Metagross. I thought it was a really fun call, and that's what rounded out the team. So that's how we got to our 6-man dream team, and next we're going to go into the details of each specific Pokemon, and we're going to start with Big Daddy Rotom Wash, my boy. So first off, I chose Citrus Berry because I think it's the most consistent healing option in the game. While Pinch Berries can heal more, you know, 33%, you can just get KO'd around that Pinch Berry pretty commonly, and it never gets to proc at all. And in that case, it's like you're not holding a held item at all. So I personally think that Citrus Berry is more consistent. I like it a lot, and I think that it procs all the time on Rotom. So I really enjoyed that. And then the EV spread I went with, I honestly just went for max HP for the max amount of bulk. HP scales extremely well with Rotom and Dynamax since his base HP is so low. And then I went for 244 because that hits an even HP amount, which means if I were to get hit with something like Super Fang or Nature's Madness with the top boost coming back, it would proc my berry immediately. And then we also get an extra EV point out of it by taking 1 out of HP and putting 1 into each defense. You guys can check out my advanced EV spread guide video if you want any more details on that. But the speed is the next important part of the Rotom set. So at first, I was 113 speed, which is 1 speed higher than max speed Modest Lapras, and then it speed ties with max speed Adamant Tyranitar. But I found myself speed time with a lot of Tapu Finis. It kind of was a hotly contested speed tier. So I went up 1 more point to 114, and that is the speed tier that we are at. And I thought it was just fast enough without taking away too much bulk. And then I still had a lot of special attack. It hit the modest bump, and yeah. And then the move set is very standard. I've got Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump, and Nasty Plot to set up and sweep and protect. So besides that, I think the spread was pretty standard. Nothing too crazy, but Rotom Wash was the key to the team, and you just got to play him well. It doesn't matter if he's obvious. He does work. And next up, we've got Galar and Moltres. And since I knew I was a weakness policy set with Comfy, I wanted to be a very, very bulky bird. And honestly, this bulk is relatively arbitrary. It doesn't hit that much things. When I first make a team and I start practicing with it, I kind of just throw something together, and then over time I start getting really used to the damage calcs. I know what moves I can survive, I know what moves I can't survive, and honestly this is the set I felt the most comfortable with. So that's what the bulk is for. It's kind of just maximum bulk. And then I would say once again, the speed is the very important thing here. This speed stat makes it so that I outspeed max speed Regieleki at +2. So if I got up 2 max airstreams, I'm also going to outspeed things like Adamant Landorus T and Timid Venusaur Togekiss, those base 80s. So I thought it was a pretty good speed tier. And then as for the special attack, it's not that much, but it is enough to KO things like max attack, max speed, Metagross, Dynamax when I'm at +2. So if I were to activate my weakness policy, I can still take out things like that. At +2, activating my weakness policy, I can take out things like Dusclops, the very standard physically bulky Dusclops. I can take them out in one hit. And yeah. But the thing I kind of want to address is that it takes 2 airstreams to outspeed Regieleki, and that seems like kind of a problem. That seems kind of ambitious. Like, how are you going to get those up? Well, the thing is if Regieleki decides to Electro Web me, it's not going to do very much damage. My weakness policy is activated, and we're just going to start ripping through their team. And then if they hit me with any other move, once again, I'm going to start ripping through their team. So Regieleki's kind of commonly tried to ignore me while I start getting up the speed boost. And then the second Regieleki dies, you know, that +2 isn't as necessary. I only need like +1 to outspeed pretty much every other team. So yeah, it happened more often than not that Regieleki would either ignore me or just end up letting me kill him by activating my weakness policies. So yeah, I really did enjoy that speed tier a lot on Moltres. Taunt was amazing for shutting down things like Calm Mind Feeny, Trick Room Dusclops, you name it. Taunt is just such an amazingly good support move, and because of Comfy facilitating the damage and the healing, I could afford to run Taunt on Moltres, and it really helped lock down a lot of teams that really wanted to get Trick Room set up for their Glastrier, stuff like that. And so Taunt was super lit. And then one big decider thing here is that I ran Hurricane over Air Slash. First and foremost, Hurricane has a stronger max move, and you know, I do max Moltres relatively often, so I do like having that extra bit of damage. And then another thing is I Dynamax Rotom a lot. Rotom's going to be max geysering pretty frequently, and then that's going to make Moltres' Hurricane 100% accurate. So I had that little bit of synergy there. It didn't come into play that much, but more than you would think. And then also 110 base power of Hurricane versus 75 base power of Air Slash is honestly a huge difference. Now, I think Air Slash is the more consistent option, but this is a best of 3 open team sheet tournament, the Players Cup. So when it's a best of 3, you've got at least 2 games. You have more chances to roll the dice. We're playing Pokemon, you know, RNG is a factor. And so I knew that I had to take some risks, and I outweighed the risk reward of Hurricane, the huge damage, but the worst accuracy. And I decided it was a better option for a best of 3. And honestly, I wouldn't change it. I think the Hurricane damage was really strong, and that was Moltres. Our final Pokemon of the 3 sweeper attackers of the team was Assault Vest Metagross. Now, the moveset here is pretty standard. We've got Dual Stab, and then we've got the Ice Punch and Stomping Tantrum for the ground and ice. Zen Headbutt was so important. I could max Mindstorm and Spore with Amoonguss, getting rid of Misty Terrains and all that kind of stuff. That was really important. And then Zen Headbutt Stab just hits crazy hard into things like Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash. Pokemon that just aren't expecting to get hit by Metagross, they get smacked up by a Zen Headbutt or a Max Mindstorm from Metagross. So I absolutely loved having Zen Headbutt. And then I honestly think every move on this set is very important. Iron Head, Stab, Defense Boost, get even tankier, let's go. Stomping Tantrum, Ground is one of the best offensive typings in the game, and then you get the special defense boost, getting even tankier. And then Ice Punch, one of the other best offensive types in the game, is Ice, and then I could change weather against things like Torkoal and Venusaur. So I loved all of these moves. The fact that I could boost up my defensive stats and then Floral Heal myself with Comfy was absurd. Metagross really walled out a lot of teams. I loved him a lot. And then the EV spread. The EV spread I thought was a great balance of bulk, speed, and damage. Pretty much the speed hits 113, which is 1 speed less than my Rotom. So I'm still going to be outspeeding things like that Lapras we talked about. It is at least a speed tie with Adamant, Max Speed, Tyranitar. And it's a good speed tier to work with Max Airstream from Moltres and stuff like that. So I really liked that. The bulk was relatively arbitrary yet again. I kind of just put it in after I hit the attack bump with Adamant 196 EVs, but the HP and the special defense investment with the Salt Vest was actually enough to take a Surf +2 max flare from Colossal, from the dreaded Dragapult Colossal. Metagross could just survive it by itself Dynamaxed. And clap back with Max Quake just killing Colossal outright. So just from that, you could see how bulky it was before I even got boosts, and then think about after I get some boosts and I just start floor healing Metagross. He was a real tank, and yeah, nothing too crazy here, but Metagross was awesome. I really enjoyed him. So let's get to Comfy. Next, we'll talk about Adorable Comfy. Of course, the ability was Triage to give our healing moves the priority, and then the EVs were to maximize physical bulk. I couldn't really think of any big special attacks that I needed to survive with Comfy. I really thought that the biggest threats to Comfy in the meta were big offensive steel types. Metagross, Excadrill, Kartana, they're all physical steel type Pokemon. Things like Thundurus trying to knock me out too. So I just really liked the physical bulk. Honestly, there's probably a little bit more optimal of a spread you could go, putting some into special defense, maybe some into special attack for Draining Kiss, but I enjoyed this, and it really gave me a safe cushion against those scary steel types because I wanted to set up Trick Room. I went with Babiri Berry to further survive those steel moves that would OHKO me. And when Babiri Berry is in the face of a steel type and they don't have another option to stop Comfy, it is amazing. But then sometimes it kind of goes wasted. So I could see, you know, maybe a berry or leftovers on this Comfy to give it some longevity. But I really enjoyed Babiri Berry, what it did, and how it closed off my opponents' options to stopping my Trick Room. So yeah, I liked it. And then the moveset. You know, we've got Draining Kiss for the weakness policy and the attack, Floral Healing to heal my partners, and then Trick Room, of course. I talked about how I wanted to reverse Trick Rooms and set up Trick Rooms. So the one move that I kind of had the option to change was Helping Hand, and I think Helping Hand gave me that immediate damage option. Comfy was fulfilling so many roles on the team, and I loved Helping Hand, just helping handing my AV Metagross, my Rotom Wash, helping Moltres get those big kills. So I loved every move on Comfy. Protect would have been nice at some points, but honestly, I wouldn't change a thing about this Comfy's moveset, but maybe the EVs. But yeah, Comfy was very standard, but very, very good. Rounding out the team are the boring members of the team. Everybody's seen them, Incineroar and Amoonguss, but they're boring and so good for a good reason. They really facilitated the playstyle I was going for, the setup heavy oriented team, and yeah, I loved them. So first off, we went with the Pinch Berry on Incineroar instead of something like Safety Goggles or something like that, or Assault Vest, because Assault Vest was way better on Metagross for this team. But I never thought I needed Safety Goggles. I wasn't having any problems with Amoonguss. I did have some problems with Venusaur, but I didn't play any Venusaur in practice, so I just went with the Pinch Berry. A reason that I actually really like Pinch Berry on Incineroar is because of the Flare Blitz. I'm lowering my own attack. I'm lowering my own HP by taking Recoil, which makes it so I can force facilitate proc the berry a lot more commonly. So I really do like the Pinch Berries more on Pokemon like Incineroar, Arcanine for that exact reason. And so going into the EV spread, Now, this is a little bit more physically bulky than some Incineroars you've been seeing, and this is because it's going to survive Max Quake from Adamant Landorus T at -1 attack, as if you've intimidated them 93% of the time. It's a 6% chance for them to kill you. So that was the physical bulk. The special defense hit the bump and was a level I was really comfortable with. And then I actually went for a lot of speed into Incineroar. I thought that this speed level was putting me faster than other Incineroars, giving me a good matchup with the fake out. And then I really liked being able to parting shot faster than some certain threats, such as Tyranitar, Lapras, etc. Just being able to parting shot a little bit faster gave me a lot of momentum in a lot of matchups. And then the only other weird thing on this would be Darkest Lariat, I think. Well, Flare Blitz and Darkest Lariat. I went for the two biggest damage option attacks on Incineroar. And the reason why is because, like I said, my team was kind of slow and took a few turns to ramp up. So I knew that I needed as much damage as I could possibly get. And Flare Blitz and Lariat do that just fine. I loved Darkest Lariat, being able to chunk things like Dusclops and Dragapult for as hard as I possibly could. And honestly, I see no reason to change it. I never felt like I needed something like Snarl or Burning Jealousy. I like this moveset a lot. Lastly, we've got the annoying mushroom, Amoonguss. So I went with Focus Sash because Focus Sash makes it so Amoonguss can survive any big hit in the game. Charizard, Thundurus, Moltres, you name it, Amoonguss will live all of them with Sash. So I don't have to worry about Cobra Berry, Pyapa Berry, anything like that. And then I still went into full bulk because the Focus Sash comes in handy against those massive attacks. And then the bulk comes in handy against everything else. You know what I mean? Like all the lower damage attackers, Feenies, Rotom Washes, Kartanas, all this kind of stuff that Amoonguss can live those hits. Being extremely bulky, switching out, getting Regenerator health was amazing. Honestly, I did this a few times where I would take a few small hits. My Focus Sash wouldn't be broken. I'd switch out, Regenerator would bring me back to full, and then my Focus Sash would be intact again for a later turn in the game. So Focus Sash Regenerator honestly has some really good synergies. It seems kind of weird, but yeah, maximum bulk on the Amoonguss. Nothing too crazy. I didn't go for minimum speed Amoonguss, believe it or not. It would have been nice to maybe speed tie with a few ice horses, but I honestly thought the fact that I could just Spore before Dusclopses, before Ice Horses, before Torkoals outside of Trick Room was really beneficial. I could even get max Airstreams up with Moltres next to Amoonguss and outspeed some slower Pokemon at like +1 speed, +2 speed. And yeah, I honestly really liked not being min speed Amoonguss. It gave me good options against the Trick Room teams. And then I would say the only weird thing to talk about on Amoonguss is my decision of attack, which was Clear Smog. Now, there's so much setup going on right now. Weakness Policy, Calm Mind Feeny, Nasty Plot Rotoms. People are taking their time to set up their teams, just like mine. And Clear Smog really shuts that down. This team still had some issues with like a really well-played Calm Mind Tapu Fini. And, maybe I can't Spore in the Misty terrain against Tapu Fini, but I can continually shut it down and not let it get Calm Mind boosts with Clear Smog. A lot of people's game plans are this late game Tapu Fini Calm Mind setup, and Amoonguss just totally shuts that down. I really like Clear Smog. There are definitely times where I would have wanted the bigger attack like Sludge Bomb or Energy Ball, but unfortunately that is all I had to work with, and I don't know if I would change it. It's kind of up to personal preference, but I really like Clear Smog shutting down a lot of the setup, and it was very good against Tapu Fini. So, ladies and gentlemen, for a little conclusion, this was a heavy setup-oriented team that qualified me for the top 16 for the Players Cup 2 in NA, which was honestly such an amazing experience. I think it has really strong matchups against all the common Firewater Grass cores, the Ice Horse Dusclops teams, Tapu Fini, and Metagross. Those are some of the best Pokemon in the game right now. But I would say that it suffers against some of the really hyper offense cores that are coming out. There is the Nut core right now, which is Nihilego, Urshifu Dark, and Thundurus coming out right now. And honestly, that team does extremely well against mine. It's a little too much foot on the gas, and it's hard for me to really bounce back against that kind of team. Continuing on the hyper offense stuff, REGIGIGAS was a huge problem. REGIGIGAS wheezing, because REGIGIGAS has base 100 speed. I had nothing that could outspeed it. I think if you have something that can outspeed REGIGIGAS, the matchup is infinitely easier, and unfortunately I just didn't. So REGIGIGAS was a really hard matchup. That's pretty much a hyper offense team, and then a really well played REGIELEKI could be a problem, because all my sweepers do not resist electric. Rotom, Moltres, and METAGROSS, they all take neutral from electric. And yeah, so if your opponent can play REGIELEKI or other electric types really well, those can be issues as well. And then the last thing I would say is like Sleep Powder and Spore. I didn't really respect it that much going into the tournament, just because I could really deal with the Amoonguss with the taunts, with the max Airstreams, max Mindstorms. Amoonguss was never a problem, but things like Venusaur are picking back up again, and Venusaur Sleep Powder can honestly just pretty much be spammed against my team. So that was an issue. But honestly, yeah, I just named a lot of matchups that might be kind of difficult, but this team just bodies a lot of other common stuff. So I would not go and say that this team was bad in any way. Rotom Wash was absolutely phenomenal, and he absolutely carried me to the motherland, baby. Well, guys, that's going to do it for our top 16 team report. I hope you guys had some fun and you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching videos on my channel, man. It really does mean the world to me. I'm going to be picking up the slack here on YouTube. I'm going to be doing at least weekly uploads. I do stream full time, so I mean, it is hard for me to balance the two. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the works, guys, coming in December. I've got a lot of plans and stuff that are going to be a lot of fun. And I'm thinking of making like 2 more YouTube channels, one for all my Twitch VODs. There's a lot of DMCA problems going on Twitch right now, and saving your VODs can get you in trouble. And then I want to make a channel that's going to be more about the fun things we do on stream, more IRL stuff like Ludwig or Mizkif, stuff like that. Because this channel is primarily for Pokemon education, and I totally respect that. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Like and subscribe. All that great stuff really does help. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace, everybody.